This is what if Naruto, female Naruto, was a kitsune final part. If you guys like my content, subscribe, like it if you like this video, and if you're wanting more, go to my other videos and watch those. And I just uploaded a video earlier today. It's a 4-minute video. You guys should watch that and look at the description. But on to the story. So this is 9 months after Naruto has found out she's pregnant, and she gives birth to a lovely little girl who has ears and tails. One tail and one ear. Or not one ear, 2 ears and 1 tail, signifying that she's a kitsune. And she has the eyes of an Uchiha. She still does have the vertical slit, but her eyes are black, not yellow or blue like Minato and Naruto's eyes. And she's being raised kindly and gently by Naruto and Sasuke. And one day in the village, while they're walking around town, Naruto gets knocked out. And Sasuke, being on a mission, doesn't know she's been attacked. And I don't like what I'm about to do, but I'm about to do it. The 9th and final tale for Naruto to unlock is the desire to achieve a goal. Besides just being a strong kunoichi like she is. And this desire must be so overwhelming that she will forget everything, including the loves and people that she's had in her life to achieve this goal. And Kurama, when he achieved his 9 tails, he was also called the demon sin of greed. But that's a name lost to time because Kurama has changed. And Naruto, when she wakes up in an alley. And she looks for her daughter because she was just with her daughter and her daughter's gone. And she runs to the Hokage's office and barges in. And she barged in so fast that the Anbu freaked out and jumped in front of her. And she yelled at her dad that her daughter's missing and she can't find her. And Minato, still being the Hokage, is like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, I can't find my daughter, and I was knocked out on the street." And Minato, somewhat understanding this, immediately he calls in a Jonin squad, a elite Jonin squad of Kakashi, Guy, Asuma, and he was about to call in Yamato, but Naruto said, "No, I'm going with." So this team of 4, and Naruto being the fastest and being somewhat of a censor, is put in the front. And Kakashi summons Pakun to follow Naruto's daughter's scent. You guys can make a name for Naruto's daughter, but I'm not going to. And Naruto's daughter was born with a tiny sliver of the Kyuubi's chakra, because the Kyuubi was like, "I gotta prepare her for when she's the Jinchuriki for her mother." So he slipped in a little bit of his chakra, and when Naruto was attacked and found that her daughter was missing, Kurama felt a deep anger to himself because he was mad that he caused this. Because lately the signals from his brethren are growing weaker. Shukaku's gone. All the other tailed beasts besides the Hachibi and Yeah, just the Hachibi is left. So Naruto, feeling this deep sorrow from losing basically her distant cousins as the tailed beasts and her daughter, is feeling hate and anger, and while she's sprinting, she's slowly getting faster and faster and losing Kakashi, Pakun, Guy, and Asuma behind. And her senses are getting higher and higher, and all of a sudden she's like a mile ahead of Kakashi, Guy, Asuma, and Pakun, and they hear a sonic boom. And then hear another one, like someone's running and making sonic booms. And Naruto, being so filled with anger, she's not noticing that she's the one causing the sonic booms. And uh, Kuruma, uh, sensing that she's ready, he lets go of the last thing that's holding him back and says goodbye to Naruto, and his consciousness disappears, and she gets a flood of chakra. That's just minuscule amount, but it's still a flood of chakra, and she goes even faster. And a few minutes later, the guy that was carrying Naruto's kid is currently right at the edge of the Iron Country and starts to hear boom, boom, like something is blowing up behind him. But it's louder than an explosion. And he turns around and sees that the forest is getting demolished behind something, and it's coming at incredible speeds. And Naruto, who's not controlling her tails at this point, has all 9 tails out and is going at incredible speeds. But since the S-rank shinobi has gotten to his position, he disappears, and Naruto's child has disappeared with him. And the scent is gone, and she looks around and sees that there's nothing here. And she starts crying. And the Renegon activates, and the chakra that she had, which was blue at first and slowly was turning silver, completes its transformation, and her chakra turns silver and red, because the Jubi's chakra is red. And she commands the eye to find her daughter. And the Jubi's skeleton, the Gezumazu statue? Gezumazu statue? I don't know. The statue that the Jubi is, and opens its last eye and sees the daughter of the Jinchuriki and feels the command of the Renegon to bring it to her. And the statue does that because it can't withstand the control of the Renegon and the power of the Otsutsuki. So she is now in. So the statue grabs the child softly and comfortably and stands up, which freaks out Pain. Oh no, Pain is already dead. Freaks out all the rest of him, including Madara, because he still goes by Madara, and Toby. Freaks him out, and the statue thrusts its arm up to the sky, which breaks through the ground and opens its hand. Naruto sees her child, picks up her child, and then all of a sudden, all these white creatures are showing up and trying to take the child back from her, and she's not having it. She's used her tails to wrap her child up in a ball and keep it safe. And Sasuke, being on a mission, was coming back from the Land of Iron and runs into this devastation around this, what looks like a hand, and sees someone fighting. He runs up to see who it is and sees that it's Naruto, and she has all 9 tails and is curled and has something curled up inside the nine tails. And Sasuke, activating his Sharingan, sees that there's a chakra signature inside the nine tails and gets a little closer, then recognizes it's his daughter. And he runs in and starts helping Naruto, and all of a sudden the Gezomazu, the Jubi, the hand closes to the form of a mouth because it can change its body parts into whatever it wants to look like, and all of a sudden Naruto's getting sapped of energy. And this red energy is coming out of Naruto, and Sasuke sees this and is like, what the hell's going on? And Naruto is like, crap, it's already happening. So she fights and is fighting over to Sasuke and rips out one of his eyes, and rips out her left eye and places it in his eye socket. Because the old man Six Paths said that she'll know when to give him the eye. And Sasuke gets the moon symbol above his left eye, not his hand. Naruto got the moon symbol on her chest, right above her cleavage, so she can show it off. But she then feels the power complete within her, so she has all nine tails in complete control over it. And Sasuke feels the power of something that he doesn't know, and looks at this hand that's pointing at Naruto and is willing it to stop. And all of a sudden it stops. And Naruto, feeling that the nine tails chakra is gone, starts to go absolutely ballistic. And this is the last time that the Akatsuki were going to meet. So they all grouped up in one area to make sure that it went successfully and quickly. And all of a sudden the Gezomazu statue forms into a giant 10-tailed beast. And Naruto, knowing exactly what this is as the Jubi, because the old man immediately powers up a nature chakra blast so big that the Gezomazu statue can't withstand it. Even though, yes, it is nature chakra itself, it still has a limit to how much energy it can withstand. So she hits the statue with the blast, and the statue roars in pain, and she tells Sasuke to use the eye to seal it. And he says, seal it where? And she points at her gut and shows the seal. It says, it's empty. And he's like, no, I can't do that to you. And she goes, oh, you can't do it to me? Then what's going to happen to our daughter when that thing is released? And he's had these stories told to him by Naruto, and he's like, fine. So he seals the 10 tails within Naruto, and Naruto uses seals on herself, because she's a seal master, to put herself to sleep and seal off her chakra so nothing can touch it. And she then sat down and released her tails and put it in a fan-like state. And since all of her chakra is sealed, she can't mold chakra, but she can still sense it. Because her chakra network is not destroyed, it's stopped moving. And so she sits down, she gets in the lotus position, and starts absorbing nature chakra. And she is turned to stone. And Sasuke sees this and is like, no. And he goes over to her, and the Jubi is now sealed within a stone statue and can't be released, ever. All the Biju have been sealed within a statue that can't be undone. And now Sasuke is left to raise their child alone. And When Sasuke gets to the Leaf Village, he uses his Kamui or not Kamui. Yeah, he uses Kamui because the Rinnegan gave him Kamui. I'm just going to say that. And he uses Kamui and brings Naruto's statue out of the dimension, and the statue is now a forever memorial to the one that saved the world and the love of his life that he didn't know was until the last minute. And he put up a shrine to basically worship her, and he then tells the fourth Hokage that Naruto gave up her life to save the world, and that she is not the last kitsune. And he pulls out his daughter and says that Naruto saved our lives by giving up hers. And then the Toad sage runs into the room and says, "Where's my goddaughter?" And Sasuke looks at him and shakes his head that she didn't make it. And he says, "I'd like to see the proof." And Sasuke goes over to the statue at his home that he shares with Naruto and shows them the shrine that has Naruto there. And everybody who loved Naruto starts to cry, and since the sage arts seal everything within the stone, her soul can't go to the pure world. And then Jiraiya takes a piece of hair that he has had and starts doing a seal. And everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "I think I have a way to release her soul. Nothing else, just her soul." And so he's there for hours and hours. When he finally finishes the seal, he does the Reaper Death Seal and pulls Naruto's soul out. And he said, "I will give you my life and another's life to pull her soul out and let it go to the pure world." And the Death God, knowing that this is the last person who has studied the seal and knows the seal, is like, "I will, but on account of you destroy the seal from the Scroll of Sealings that the fourth Hokage holds." And the Shinigami is still behind Jiraiya, and he walks up to the fourth Hokage and says that, "I have made a pact with the Shinigami, or the God of Death, to destroy the Scroll of Seals, or at least one jutsu in the Scroll of Seals, to save Naruto's soul." And Minato, knowing that the God of Death does not do with normal deals, says, "Take my soul too." And Jiraiya goes, "No, I can't. I'm going to take Orochimaru's soul." And pulls out the big scroll that Naruto had in her house to protect, and says that the God of Death is behind me currently, and he's waiting for the two souls and the Scroll of Sealing to erase that jutsu. And Minato is like, "Okay." So he pulls out the Scroll of Sealing and he erases the jutsu from existence and says, "I am the last person who knows it, and I shall never write it down to or teach anybody to use it." And the Shinigami's like, "Okay, I agree with that." And Jiraiya says that, and he walks over to Naruto's stone statue, and the Shinigami pulls her soul out of the stone statue and then grabs the scroll, and the scroll gets pulled into Jiraiya, and Jiraiya lays down and dies peacefully, doing something for his family that he wanted to do for ages. And so Naruto's soul is stuck in the mortal world, and Sasuke sees this and is like, "Why isn't she going to the pure world?" And they ask, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "She's stuck right there. She's just standing there." And they're like, I think I have an idea. And Minato, knowing the Edo Tensei, uses the Edo Tensei on Kushina and puts Naruto's soul in there. Because the Edo Tensei still counts as sacrifice in this what if. And Naruto takes form and Kushina's soul is released. And Naruto asks, where am I? What am I doing? Why am I not in stone? And then they put a seal on her. And she looks at Sasuke and looks at her daughter and says, thank you. And then she leaves. So Naruto is dead. And 10 years later, the statue is still there. The house was destroyed from an attack by the Akatsuki to try to take the Jubi, and the statue, being so filled with nature chakra, didn't take any damage. And the Jubi has changed the statue just slightly to where the eyes are now one. So she looks completely different. The eyes are now one, and she has horns. So she's currently known as the nine-tailed demon. And Sasuke prefers it that way, so no one goes near her. And every year, on the same day, he walks up there with his daughter and tells her the story of her mother and what she is. We skip 100 years, and a little child runs up to the statue and says, Mommy, Mommy, why is the statue still here? Shouldn't it be wearing away? And then this old woman walks up behind this younger woman and says that that's my mother, and she's been there since I was born. Since a little after I was born. She has something very dangerous sealed inside her, and that she has to be protected, and nature itself is keeping her there. And the little kid looks at her like she's crazy, and she winks at him while the younger girl starts trying to push him away. And when this older woman winked, an ear popped up and flattened out, and the little kid was like, oh, cool. And Naruto is a name forgotten in time. And now that she was the last kitsune to achieve the nine-tail state, and this is a very fast one, but it ended this way. Since she was the very last one to achieve the nine-tail state, she'll forever be known as the immortal Nine-Tails, also the demon of, or the nine-tailed demon fox, and the one who consumed nature itself with greed. But there are a few people to this day who remember the story and have told the story like it was, that the nine-tailed demon fox was not actually a demon, but she was a kind-hearted soul that had love in her life, and that she saved the world from a great evil that was stronger than herself, and that she used to help and defeat the evil that could come from it. And the only greed she has was the greed to protect her family. And this story starts getting lost by time, and we skip 20,000 years, and the statue's still there, and all of a sudden, a pick from someone hits this piece of stone, and the pick immediately shatters. And this guy starts uncovering this fox thing, maybe? And he yells to his supervisor to come here, and this little mouse guy walks over and says, what is it? And he says, look at this. And the supervisor says, what? And looks at the statue and sees a woman with fox ears and 9 tails and asks, what the hell is this? And he says that, I don't know. I hit it with a pickaxe and it shattered the pickaxe. And this mouse-looking person goes, what do you mean it shattered the pickaxe? And he grabs he grabs a hammer this time, one that's made out of the strongest metal on this planet at the time, and hits it as hard as possible, and the hammer shatters. And he says, that is what happened. And this little mouse guy says, call All Might as loud as he can, and I'm going to end it there. You'll see what I'm doing with it now, after this. So I'm going to upload another what if. Yeah, I'm going to upload another what if. Later. I think it's going to be that one. Yeah, it's going to be that one. I'm thinking. So this is the end of What If Naruto Was a Kitsune. There's not gonna be a season 2. There's gonna be another What If that includes this, and yeah, and I'm hopefully gonna remember that she's an indestructible statue. So, talk to you guys next What If. Bye!